My name is Tanja Singh, so I will present the background of the company. Our company is the MoonBucks. MoonBucks is the coffee production and distribution company. They focus on the products such as the bottle latte and the lotus coffee beans. Some of the main products include the Colombian Moonwort, Mekong Moonwort, and the Malaysian Libericha. The company mainly serves business clients include the cafe and the corporate buyers. Key customers include the Urban Brew Cafe, Sunrise Bakery Cafe, and the Office Coffee Supply. It covers both retail and the bulk purchase segment. In terms of the internal operations, MoonBucks also owns its own cafe brands such as the MoonBucks KL and Seremban to support internal distribution and daily operation. To improve the business performance, ERP system is implemented to manage sales, inventory, and the finance transaction. This helps to increase the efficiency, maintain data consistencies, and support better decision making. So this slide is show the process in order from quotation to sales order. First, we create the quotation by selecting the customer, product, and the quantity. The system will automatically calculate the total price and set the payment terms. It can also support different types of the orders, including a small retail orders and the bulk purchase. Once the quotation is accepted by the customer, we confirm it and it becomes a sales order. This means the transaction is finalized. The system keeps all the product, quantity, and pricing details, and the order can proceed to the delivery and invoicing. Overall, this process helps ensure the accurate order management and smooth sales operations. This slide is show the invoice process in order from generation to validation. First, after the sales order is confirmed, we generate an invoice. The system will automatically create a draft invoice with details such as the customer information, product quantity, and price. The draft invoice allows the user to review the transaction before confirming it. Once everything is verified, we validate and post the invoice. That changes the status to the post, and it becomes an official financial record in the system. At this stage, the invoice cannot be modified without the proper adjustment. Overall, this process ensures that all financial transactions are accuracy and support proper financial tracking and reporting. This slide is show the final step of the sales process, which is the invoice reporting. After the invoice is validated and posted, the system generates the final invoice document. This document contains complete transaction details such as the customer information, invoice number, product quantity, price, and tax. It also reflects different sales scenarios, including a single and multiple product orders, as well as tax calculation like SST. The invoice can be printed or shared with customer, and it serves as an official financial record. Overall, this step completes the entire sales cycle and ensures that all business transactions are properly documented.
So hello sir, let's get into the inventory and purchase module. So in this module, it's responsible for 4 things, which is warehouse management, stock management and tracking, vendor management, and procurement workflow. So to address the responsibilities, let's get into the key configurations made. Firstly, we have set up the warehouse. In this case, we have set up the main warehouse only. And since we only set up the main warehouse, we did this location of the stock based on the categories of the product. For example, raw materials and then stock. And for each of the stock, we have shelf 1, shelf 2, and shelf 3. And then we also did products and categories. In this case, for example, Colombia Moonwalk 250 grams. So in this product, we set up the product types as good to be able to track the inventory by quantity. And then we set up like the sales price and the category of Arabica. Of course, there are more categories, but this is just an example. Next, we also set up the vendor records. For example, Dutch Lady Milk Industries Berhad. So this will be supplying our milk. And after setting up the vendor records, we link the vendor to other products or each of the products that are related. For example, Colombia Moonwalk with the vendor of Colombia supplier. Now let's get into procurement workflow. Something to note in Udo is that if a stock is follow follow behind or has been behind a certain threshold, then it will tell you what items will need to be bought. So we can either snooze or you can automate or order. So in this case, I just wanted to tell you that the items itself can be automated using one click. And after it automates, then it will generate the RFQ by itself. However, let's get into how Odoo are able to do it manually. So firstly, you go to purchase. After clicking on it, you will be greeted with the request for quotation. So this will be shown as all the request for quotation made before. And then afterwards, you can see and record. Next, if you click on new, you can order new items. So you order the new items, you select the vendor, where to deliver to, and order deadline. Say, you order a product. You can also add a section or a note. In this case, we added a note. Please make sure the box is packed in small batches, as our warehouse is small or our shelf is small. An example. So, and then you send the RFQ where the vendor will receive it. After the vendor receive and acknowledge the RFQ, then it will become a purchase order. So the purchase order will be like where you will wait for the item to be received. So say the items have received, then you will get the goods receipt. So say now warehouse in and the ID. So the goods receipt are basically like to tell you that the items are here, and you can acknowledge it and you can keep it for future reference. That is all for procurement workflow.
My name is Li Jingyang, and now I will talk about the manufacturing model. The manufacturing module is a critical component of our ERP system. It's designed to streamline and manage the entire production process from start to finish. For the MoonBucks company, in manufacturing bottled latte with milk, sugar, water, and coffee bean. To manufacturing the bottled latte, there is a process flow. First, the raw material that is needed will be purchased and stored in the inventory. This ensures that we have all the ingredients needed to produce our bottled latte efficiently. Next, we define a bill of material or BOM. It is like a recipe that lays out the precise quantity and component required for production. Next, we move on to creating manufacturing order, which initiate the actual production process. Once production is complete, the finished goods are stored in inventory, ready to be integrated and coordinate with other modules such as sales, purchasing, and accounting. It ensuring a seamless flow from manufacturing to sales. The bill of material or BOM is an essential part of our manufacturing process. It lists every item required to create our final product and ensuring nothing is overlooked. The main section of the BOM include components and their respective quantity. This detailed breakdown is crucial because it helps us verify that all necessary components are available before we begin production. This figure shows the BOM for the bottled latte of MoonBucks company with Odoo ERP system. It shows that to produce 1 unit of bottled latte, we need 1 unit of coffee bean, 1 unit of milk, 1 unit of sugar, and 1 unit of butter. Next, in manufacturing model, it also includes with the work center. The work center is a specific location where a particular production task is carried out. Each of these centers is dedicated to a specific stage of production. For example, you might have work center for grinding, mixing, and assembly. Besides, one of the critical functions of the work center is to track the work progress. This tracking is crucial as it allows for efficiency resources allocation, so it can ensure that every stage of production is running smoothly. Lastly, an important aspect to consider is the cost per hour, both for utilizing the work center and for the employee working within it. Understanding this cost helps in optimizing budget and enhancing productivity. By efficiently effectively manage work center, we can ensure a streamlined production process that maximize efficiency and minimize waste. This figure shows the work center with green line as its name. This work center is designed to handle the grinding coffee bean operation for the MoonBucks company. Besides, this work center is also set the cost per hour for the work center as $25 and $10 for each employee. Next, this figure shows the missing line work center. This work center is designed to mix all the materials such as grains, coffee bean, milk together with the sugar. Besides, this work center is set the cost per hour for the work center as $15 and $10 for each employee. Next, this figure shows the work center with assembly line 1 as its name. This work center is designed to assemble all the material into the finished goods. This work center is set the cost per hour for work center as $20 and $30 for each employee. Next, routing is a critical component in our production process. It serves as a blueprint for how we transfer raw material into finished goods. First, routing defines the complete production process flow. This means it clearly outlines each step required to take a product from start to finish. Next, it lists all the operation tasks needed, including the specific work center where each task will be carried out. This ensures that every task is performed at the right location and in the right sequence. Additionally, routing specifies the time required and the resources needed for each task. This not only helps in planning, but also in optimizing efficiency and resources allocation. So routing is essential for maintaining order and efficiency in the production process, ensuring that tasks are executed correctly and in the right place. This figure shows the routing for production bottle latte with Odoo ERP system in MoonBucks company. Each operation is assigned to their work center together with its duration. For example, the grinding coffee bean operation will be conducted in the green line work center. The mixing coffee operation will be conducted in the mixing line, and the assembly will be conducted in the assembly line 1. All of the operations are set duration with 16 minutes. MRP is used to schedule the essential raw material needed for production. It ensures that materials are delivered at the right time and in the correct quantity. This helps the company to avoid problems such as stock shortage or holding too much of inventory. In Odoo ERP, MRP works closely with the BOM and manufacturing order. When the production order is created, the system automatically calculates the required material based on the BOM. Then it checks the availability of the material in inventory. If there is a shortage, the system will recommend the purchase action. Next, this figure shows the forecast report for the bottle latte. We can see that current inventory situation, there are 147 units available in stock, while 271 units are expected to be delivered to customer. To support this demand, 124 units are planned to be produced. This shows that demand is higher than the current stock, and the system has already planned production to help cover the shortage. MPS, or Master Production Schedule, is used to plan what product need to be produced in what quantity and at what time. It helps business organize their manufacturing operation based on forecasted demand as well as actual customer order. In Odoo ERP, the MPS function allows users to schedule production activity for specific time frame. For example, MoonBucks company can plan its monthly production of bottle latte based on projected sales required. By using MPS, the company can achieve better inventory control, reduce excess production, and ensure that customer demand is fulfilled on time. This figure shows the MPS for bottle latte with its bill of material. This schedule is created on a monthly basis. After entering the forecast demand into the system, the replenishment quantity will be automatically updated. Once the user clicks on the order button, the system will automatically generate the purchase order. This automation helps seamless the production planning and purchase process. Capacity planning ensures that the production resources such as a machine and a work center are sufficient to handle the required workload. It helps to prevent problems like overloading resources or underutilizing them. In Odoo ERP, capacity planning is merged using work center and routing. The system takes into account factors such as operating hours and capacity limits to schedule production activity and estimate operation time. The benefit of having capacity planning is to balance the workload, improve the production efficiency, and reduce the delay. This figure shows the example of the Green Line Work Center. Its working hours are set to 40 hours per week, and its production capacity is 100 units. Additionally, the cleaning time is set as 20 minutes with no setup time required. This setup allows the system to plan production more accurately and avoid bottleneck in the manufacturing process. Next, the production process is the process of changing raw material into finished goods. In Odoo ERP system, this process is managed by the manufacturing order, MO. Now, let's show the production process for the bottle latte with Odoo ERP system. Besides of creating MO manually, the MO also can be created automatically when the product quality is not enough within the Odoo ERP system. This figure shows that there is a MO is being created with the quantity of 55 units. It selects the bomb that we created just now, and now it shows the components that are needed to produce the bottle latte at the component section. Besides, there is an available tag with a green color that indicates that the material that needed to be consumed is available. This figure shows that each material are needed for 55 units to be consumed, and there is enough material, so the MO will be planned. Next, this figure shows the operation that will be conducted with Odoo ERP system. The operations list in the work order tab is showing the work center that the operation will be conducted, expected duration, and real duration for production of the product. After the operation is finished, it will show a finish tag with a green color to indicate it, and the status of the MO will be changed into the to close status. When the produce all button is been clicked, the status of the MO now is changed into done. This means that the MO is completed, where the 55th unit of bottle latte is produced and added into the inventory. The Odoo ERP system can make the manufacturing model to integrate with other models. First, it integrates with the purchase model by trigger the purchasing order when the material to produce the finished good is not enough. Besides, it also integrates with the sales model. This happens when the finished product quantity is not enough. It will trigger to create the MO to produce the finished good for the sales. Besides, it also integrates with the accounting model. The system records all production costs, which include both raw material expenses and operational costs. Lastly, it also integrates with inventory model. This system uses the inventory to store all the raw material needed for production, and it automatically consumes necessary components after a MO receives confirmation, and the system restores finished goods to inventory after the production ends. That's all from me.
Now I will present the financial accounting part. So we use all those report features to understand our company overall financial status, and all the financial report can access under the accounting module, where Odoo provide the three main report, which are profit and loss statement, balance sheet statement, and also the cash flow statements. So for the profit and loss statements, it shows the overall performance of the business by comparing revenue and the expenses. So this can help us determine whether the company is making a profit or a loss. So based on our system, MoonBucks is generate more revenue than the expenses, which means the business is operating profitably. And then for the balance sheet, it shows the financial position of the company at a specific points in times. So it includes asset, liability, and equity. So the formula is asset equal to liabilities plus equity. So this report can help us to understand what the company owns and also what is owes. So from our system, MoonBucks have asset and relative low liability, and then indicating stable financial positions. And then the cash flow statement. So this statement show how cash move in and out of the business. So it focus on actual payment received and made. So this help us evaluate the company's liquidity. So in our case, MoonBucks have a positive cash flow, which means it has enough cash to support its daily operations. And then they have also the account receivable, account payable, and then the general legal accounts. So account receivable refer to the amount of money that customer still owe to the company. So it is created when the sales invoice are issued by but not yet fully paid. So this help companies track outstanding payments from the customers. And then the payable is the amount of the money that company owes to its suppliers. So it is recorded when vendor bill is created. So this allows the company to manage and track its obligations to suppliers efficient. And then the general legal. So this is the main accounting record in the system. So it stores all financial transactions from different modules such as sales, purchase, and payments. So this ensures that financial data is centralized and accurate. And then now I will present the challenge of our projects. So the first challenge is implement CVP analysis. So the cost volume profit analysis using integrate sales or financial data to identify break-even points and also the profit margin. So to do this, we combine the data from manufacturing, sales, and accounting. We get this information from profit and loss statement. So we first calculate the contribute margins using the formula revenue minus the variable cost. So based on our data, the contribution margin is calculated as 5,669 and then minus 795. So which equal to 4,874. So next, we calculate the contribution margin ratio by dividing the contribution margin by revenue. So 4,874 divided by 5,669. So the give us the approximately 0.859763 or 85.98%. So then we calculate the break-even sales using the formula fixed cost divided by the contribution margin ratio. So the fixed cost is 1,000 and then the contribution margin ratio is 0.859763. So the answer is 1,163.11. So this means that the business only need to achieve sales of around 1,163 to cover all these costs, and since the actual revenue is highest, then MoonBucks is operating profitability. Okay, the second challenge is automate alert check. So automate alert check are implemented using automate action features in Odoo. So this allows the system to monitor the finance transaction automatically. So the logic behind these features is based on simple conditions. So for example, if the profit is below the certain threshold, or if costs exceed a defined limit, so the system will trigger an alert. So in terms of the code logic, so it works like an if condition statement where the system check whether the condition is met. If the condition is true, then it will have actions like sending a notification or create an event to the users. Then the third challenge is scenario simulation. So in this scenario, we simulate the impact of increasing the selling price of a product. So the price of bottled lattes is increased from 5 ringgit to 5.50 ringgit. So which increased the 10%. So after update the price, and then a new sales transaction is created using the revised price. Then the profit and loss report is generated before and after the price adjustment for comparisons. So from the comparison, we can observe that the increase in selling price lead to higher revenue and profits since the cost remain unchanged. So in conclusion, the profit impact is positive as the company earns more profit, and then the solution is to apply an effective pricing strategy to improve the overall business profitability. Okay, so for challenge 4, dynamic pricings. So MoonBucks has implemented a customized pricing strategy specific for retailers. So the pricing is calculated based on the production cost, where the 25% is paid in profit margin and additional 10% is included as inventory carrying cost. So in Odoo, the inventory cost is incorporated as an extra fee on top of the production cost, allow the system to automatically adjust the final selling price. And then this approach enables MoonBucks to offer competitive pricing for retailers, especially for bucks purchases while still maintaining profitability. And then overall, this supports profit-driven operations planning by ensuring that all costs are covered and profit margin are consistently achieved.